What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't. That's a hard question because like
Wrong answer,
something that
Sydney.
actually scares me, or my name's Kyle. Something that actually scares me, or something that's meant to be scary, but I really like. Because there's not a lot that actually scares me. So, but one of my favorite horror movies, one of my favorite scary movies of all time, is definitely behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. One of the best slasher flicks ever made.
Cool.
Hands down.
I'm a Scream guy, which is why I just did that, because I saw Scream this week. It's fun.
I know you did.
Scream 5 or Scream or Stab 8 or Stab, whatever. It's yeah, they make fun of requels. It's great. They even mentioned Ghostbusters as a requel.
They even had the opportunity to use the V for 5 in the like knife of the posters and stuff, and I'm just disappointed that they didn't.
Well, they make fun of why they did it in the movie.
I know, but I hate the fact that it exists. Like it was one of the dumbest things in the world to do another movie called Halloween and have it be.
They mentioned Halloween also. They're talking about requels. They're like, Force Awakens, Ghostbusters Afterlife, like Halloween.
Yeah, it's the fact that they can make a joke of it is a problem.
And this part, you'd also like. There's a line where one of the characters is like, "There's no such thing as toxic fandom. We just want what's best for the franchise."
I mean, that's not true. In many ways, the neo gatekeepers, the new fans that are trying to keep old fans from certain aspects are worse than the old gatekeepers, because it's like, no, if you don't love what I love, get the fuck out. Versus, do you have the requisite knowledge? Can you prove your fandom? Both are assholes. Don't get me wrong, but one is literally like, no, you must have it my way because I had it your way, and if you don't like that, fuck you. And I don't like that.
The character who says there is no toxic fandom feels that way.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, they
about the Stab movies.
So, but anyways,
on to Marvel.
It is what it is. Yeah, I guess. Go ahead, start it, Nick.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvel Multiverse Mayhem Triple M.
Woo, craziness!
I'm here with my buddy Kyle, as always, and we are brought to you by Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. And make sure to check us out on LRM Online or the Genreverse Podcast Network.
Yes,
we'll discuss that more at the end.
Also available on YouTube, not just wherever you get your podcast from.
You can look at our pretty faces,
subscribe, and all that.
And the shirt they gave me at Amazon this week. We're Den 3, and then our dinosaurs are our mascots. We have a full-size T-Rex in the lobby. Can't take pictures of it because no photos are allowed in Amazon. But
yeah, I mean, it's Colorado, which is like America's dinosaur capital.
Us in Montana.
Yeah, you in Montana. I was like, wait, what is the other one? Is it one of the Dakotas?
You can get T-Rex fossils in our state.
Cool, man. Yeah, we're here to talk about Logan.
You need to stop changing my titles completely. Deadpool is not the best X-Men movie. Logan is.
I had to make it work, man. I'm just saying.
Did you intentionally do Fox with 2 Fs because of Fantastic Four?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
I almost changed it. But I'm like, you did it on purpose.
You don't know that's an internet thing? The
Fox?
FFoX-Men?
Oh.
The FoX-Men. It's FF for Fantastic Four, the Fox being the studio.
That's what I figured.
And X-Men. It's a thing, man. That's been around forever. You call yourself a fan. I'm gatekeeping. Get the fuck out of my fandom. You don't know jack shit. Like, I don't even care that you like garbage. You can like garbage so long as you know something about the garbage. See, that's a good
gatekeeper. I don't like most of this. Well, I do. Going into it, I will say I like Logan better than Deadpool, but Logan probably would never happen without Deadpool. Do you agree? No, it would have never gone R-rated Wolverine if Deadpool hadn't struck it.
I want to say yeah, but they were kind of both being worked on at the same time. Do I think Logan would have pushed as quote unquote hard? This is one of the lightest R's ever, except for you see CGI claws go through somebody's skull. Outside of that, this is an incredibly soft R, especially compared to even language wise Deadpool. But I agree. I think the the moving forward with Deadpool, and it did hit a year before this, really showed Fox that, hey, you know, we can make some money off of it.
And I'm sure it was like shot that way anyway, and they could have cut it if they didn't want to. The director's cut of the Wolverine is amazing, and it's far more violent than Logan.
And there's nothing.
Someone takes have you seen that version? Someone takes like a snow blower thing and like just uses it to chop ninjas up, and blood's just like flying out and squirting all over everyone.
I don't think so. I didn't care for Origins. Oh God, I can't believe we still have to do that. And I didn't care for. I
did not care for the theatrical cut of the Wolverine. The director's cut is much better.
Yeah,
I mean, the same director as this, James Mangold.
Yeah, one of my biggest problem with all of this comes from the fact that after 3 X-Men movies and the Wolverine Origins film, and then the new X-Men films used, you know, Logan Wolverine again in the second of the new ones heavily. I was just sick of the character. One, is he good for the time and date? Yeah, sure. Like we were talking about Deadpool a while ago. It fit the time. The director's cut is a better version of an early 2000 superhero film. But this still wasn't a very good comic accurate Wolverine in those movies, you know? Yeah. So by the time we get to Logan, for me, it's just like, man, is it really everything you guys think it is, or is it just that good compared to the other stuff? Because I
compare it to Deadpool, and I think it's better than Deadpool. I'll finish your thought, and then I'll go into my next thought.
No, you're. I don't know what we're I don't know how we're doing this right now.
I got us. I got
jumping
notes
into
and
stuff.
So, but I was going to say, we may have discussed this a little bit last week. When we were talking about Logan's a different kind of adult, like it's an adult movie, not just for the violence, but for the pacing. Like it's not paced as a superhero film for 12-year-olds.
For adults,
slow is not.
You don't know.
Mean it's a bad movie. It's a Western. No, it's just it moves at the pace of a Western.
Even a fucking dude. The only thing Western about it is the pacing. It's slow and dull. There's not all of the establishment and transition thoughts meant to invoke that thought of like the sunset rides or the snowy mountain pass rides. When it's just people looking out the windows of a car, it's boring. Like the grand vistas of Westerns were at least shot for those grand vistas, and here is moving by at highway speeds and focuses so much on the people inside the vehicles. It's oh God. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I can tell that's one of the weaknesses, you think. So, one of the things I waited until they said the year. The movie's set in 2029. Mm-hmm. And obviously I'm going to say woke in quotes. Not that X-Men hasn't been since the very first issue, which was an allegory for, it wasn't an allegory for gay people originally. It was an allegory for
racial tension.
Racial tension. That's it. Singer made it about gay people, which is a good update. You know, like you have to come out of the closet in X2, Iceman or whatever. Mm. The movie that made me not like Wolverine because he got shot right in the head.
Bobby wasn't gay.
No, he had to come out as an X-Men.
I got that, but what's interesting about that is Bobby wasn't gay ever in X history. They actually created original characters being gay in X-Men.
There are gay people in X-Men?
Hold on. Sorry. Yes, they did. And it was weird in like 2016 or 17 when all of a sudden after the Secret War event, they make a big, huge deal about having Bobby be gay.
Oh, in the comics.
And it's like you just threw away that other, and there's multiple LGBT mutant characters. You just like threw away all that shit to make big hype about an existing character.
Was that the wedding? They were hyping up the gay X-Men wedding? I think that was years. That was longer ago.
Before. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the whole idea of coming out to your parents as mutants is even something that you can't even credit Singer with. Who would want to credit Singer with anything? But right, he's the bad guy, right? Or
yeah, he's not a good guy.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. So who wants to credit him with anything? Because they covered coming out to your parents as a mutant in the 90s cartoon.
I know, but one of the reasons I think he changed it is because he is gay.
I mean, he can.
It's okay to say that anymore. Or do we have to say homosexual?
What's that?
Are we allowed to say gay anymore, or is it homosexual now?
I mean, come on, Nick, don't be so panicky.
I'm being woke like the movie, bro. Climate change, corn syrup.
It's just funny that, like I said, you can't really give him credit because, well, like you pointed out, the X-Men have been doing progressive social ideas long before Gen Z was ever an itch in their great grandparents' pants. Hate to tell you guys, just like Sidebar, as awful as a person as Joss Whedon may be, every last bit of quote unquote wokeness or progressive SJW, whatever words you want to use it, every last inch of great women's stories, LGBT stories on CW is owed to Joss Whedon.
Buffy and the spinoff,
The Vampire Slayer. Done gay.
Buffy did
no matter
gay,
what.
A lot. They were actually really that's really progressive for the time.
You're talking 90s and early 2000s. So that's my whole point.
Primetime television.
People have this idea that there's just the history of now, man. Whatever happened in the last 2 years. That's it. Like I said, you have this history of LGBT and other diversity in the X-Men, all gone to focus on Bobby Iceman, a character created a long time ago. Some would be like, well, it means something more because it's an established character. You still kicked all these other stories to the curb.
I really don't care about that character in the movies or the comics.
No. But you also potentially prevented a LGBT creator who has a new mutant idea from getting their character into it because you wanted, I don't know, the buzz of Bobby's gay. And I really don't give a fuck who is. I don't read the books. I don't read Cape books these days, you know? It was just one of those things where I'm like, this is why people get upset at like certain, not all, but some race changes. Because you're like, wait, you've got Asian, Hispanic, and Black characters you are ignoring.
And sometimes it doesn't matter at all. People really don't
sometimes
notice.
It doesn't. No,
like
that's what
Valkyrie.
That's what I just
whatever.
Said. Yeah,
like why not? People were upset about Heimdall because he's supposed to be a Norse god. I guess the same thing with Valkyrie. But it's like, why are there not black people in Asgard?
I would say this to that, because remember the rule in Hollywood was supposed to be if race did matter, you couldn't switch it.
Bruce Wayne could not be black.
Well, hold on. So let me ask you this: if we did a Hollywood version of a African myth, an African religious myth, could we maybe change the African deities or sub-deities to Asian or Hispanic?
In South Africa, you could do white people.
Could they be?
South Africa.
White people weren't in South Africa at that point. Could you change one of their deities to be white? That's not me saying it's right or wrong, but how uncomfortable are you at that aspect, Nick? And do you think Hollywood would ever allow that?
I don't think they would, but I also think there are certain white characters that can never be changed.
Bruce
Wayne comes from a rich family that founded Gotham.
I'm not saying that I'm for or against it. I'm just pointing out that argument of when and then you could be like, well, race should have mattered in Snow White. Daughter is with white skin as white as snow, hair black as
part
Raven
of the fairy tale,
shit.
though. Same thing,
right?
As the other myths we were talking about.
But again, could you change a minority's myths?
No. Well,
okay,
I mean, but like,
how's that
superheroes different than myths, even though they are myths in a way.
Well, you just pointed out that the people's issues with it was that it was based on real Norse myths.
Yeah, but it's not actually Norse myths. They're gods, not
Okay, so same thing.
I mean, they're not gods. They're aliens.
Same thing. It's still the same thing. If it's based on that, the fact is you're trying to rationalize one without the other. And that's my issue. I have my points of view, and they're consistent. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not calling you one, but most people are, because that thought makes it hard on them. Because if you literally say, well, like the God of War change, and God of War Ragnarok, I think it is the second one coming out. They have a female. I think she's either African or African American. She's black skin. She's playing a Norse.
She's probably not African American just because she wouldn't be in America, right?
No. Well, no, they got American voice actors on that team.
No, but I mean, like, it's not set in America. Oh, voice actor. Got you.
Voice actor. So they've got the character, and the developers responded to people talking about, Norse race and all of that. And they were like, well, it's this fictionalized version of the mythology. Okay, that's fine. If you're consistent with that, can you then do a non-black person or a non-Asian person in a Asian or black mythology? Get game, comic, or movie? The answer is no. You can't. And that, by definition, is hypocritical.
Well,
anyways.
I hate to be in this conversation. I want to bring up one more thing. Hopefully this doesn't lead to too much. Jesus wasn't white. There were not white people, but we've changed that. Like, doesn't mean he was black. He was at least be Arabic.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that believe in that long, flowy.
But you never see pictures of that, even in the Bible around the wall.
No, you don't. And there's definite descriptions of him not being white.
I mean, I don't think there were much white people in that area. Anyway,
no, I don't think you'd be able to,
like his apostles too.
A pale skinned person and claim to, but also something that people forget, like when you hear Cleopatra, I don't know if you knew there was some outrage about Gal Gadot being cast as Cleopatra. Cleopatra wouldn't have been like a dark skinned Egyptian. She was Macedonian. She was a Ptolemy. She was Mediterranean. So when it would be more likely to the real Cleopatra would look more closely to Gal Gadot than, say, my wife,
exactly.
Chrissy, pale as could be, but also more than somebody of darker skin. But that's what this conversation does to people, man.
Mm-hmm.
To where even the legit history, people don't know it.
Yeah. Thank God.
Anyways, we got way off course.
Anyway, that's an interesting conversation. I mean, especially since it started with X-Men.
I made you feel real uncomfortable.
No, you didn't.
I'm sorry about that.
No, you didn't.
Okay, good. I didn't want to. It's a good thought.
Still is unrelated, but it relates to the conversation we had on Breaking Geek, just me and Danny today. Mm-hmm. The Rock said he's doing a video game that everyone loves, and someone in the comments was like, God of War. And I was like, fuck yeah. It's not so, like, Danny was like, maybe Splinter Cell. I'm like, no, you can't have a guy that big sneaking around. His body is definitely a God of War body.
Yeah.
So, but I tried to talk more about, but we both know very little about the franchise other than
using him as Kratos.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
Why not? I mean, he's got, if people want to get into the look of things, Kratos is covered in ash, so his skin is lightened, which that comes with its own can of worms. Do they cover the
I think
rock
just let the
ash?
rock be the rock and have enough white paint. They probably do more of a white look.
It might be
to
more
match
markings.
the comic.
That's what I was going to say, because the ashes are important. That's super important in the game. Those ashes belong to anyways.
Oh,
I don't
shit. We don't need to talk more about it, but I had questions for you about, just because I have never played it, and we tried to discuss it. We're like, well, we haven't played it, but the rock looks
down with that.
That would be like the perfect rock video game role.
I'm down with that. And if people want to go, oh well, he's Pacific Islander and not Greek. Okay, sure.
He's also the world's biggest movie star. He could do
I'm
whoever
just
he wants.
saying, people just be consistent. I purposefully have not talked about anything. You guys can find me at that Kyle Malone and pick my brain on Twitter. But just be consistent.
I also have his phone number. If you guys want to text him, I'll read it off right now. No.
Yeah, don't.
I would never do that. Plus, you could cut it.
Anyways,
back to Logan.
Yeah,
my favorite X-Men movie, and one that Kyle finds too. Kyle, so We were kind of discussing it last week. What's your with Deadpool? What was your movie theater experience with Logan?
I didn't see it in theaters.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I saw it about
I didn't want to.
5 times in theaters because I had free passes. So I went to movies I liked multiple times. And one of the screenings had like the littlest children next to me.
Nah.
And just kind of like the Deadpool thing you discussed. And the mom took them out long before the movie got to the second act. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's like every other X-Men movie is appropriate for kids. Unlike Deadpool, this is an established PG-13 character.
Yeah.
It's like how many parents let their kids watch Zack Snyder's Justice League just because it's a Justice League movie on HBO, where that's a hard R.
Awful, anyways, in my opinion, but whatever.
I'm just talking about that's the dilemma with like why there would never be a theatrical release of a solo Batman movie where it's rated R. Like never gonna happen. He's a character for all ages, no matter how dark the movie is or how cheesy the movie is.
Yep. And
H. Patrick Williams or something has a great video on how we're ruining some characters by making them rated R because the comics are for kids.
And I kind of think that happens a bit in this film, which we could talk about later. Where's my notes?
Go for it now if you want.
What? No, you want to start? Well, you didn't even talk about my first time. You were just like,
well, okay, what was your first time? I'm like, if it didn't happen in theaters, it doesn't matter, Kyle. Now, what was your first time?
So, when I first saw it, I hated it. Like 100%. I fucking hate it. It was boring. The villains were lame. Well, the villains were lame. The like Reavers? hacking together of the hacking together of House of M / Decimation. No more mutants being born in a while. The hack up of what made Old Man Logan good, which was the road trip with 2 old men helping each other, not one that's just a massive fucking burden. Like it held nothing, and it had the weight of the fact that I got tired of Wolverine 8 movies ago. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I didn't see it in theaters. And I haven't watched the movie again until before recording this.
And what did you think? Did your opinion change at all?
Yeah. My opinion did change a bit. And I liked it more. I still don't love it. I never want to watch it again. But it was. I'm not gonna lie. I watched it in about 1.5 speed.
Damn.
Because I remember it being that fucking boring.
I've only done that with one movie ever, and it was The Christmas Prince or whatever. Because Jammer made us watch it. I'm watching it at 1.5 speed, asshole. I'm not sitting through this.
And when I got to the stuff with Laura, I found myself slow it down. And when I got to several of the fights, I felt myself slow it down. And whenever Charles is going crazy, I slow it down because he's channeling his bullet
acting the
character.
Shit out of it.
He's channeling the character he plays on American Dad with that type of ridiculousness, man. When Bullock keeps like going tweaking out, or I think even in an episode he's like on cocaine. He sounds like Charles Xavier.
Like when he's doing the beginning part where he's like, "Get your tacos." Like I think that's just his brain picking up signals where he's like, "Get your tacos now," whatever the hell it is. You're like, "What the fuck?"
What it is. Do you watch American Dad at all?
No, I don't like any of the Fox comedies.
I'll try to show you some clips later.
You won't convince. I did watch American Dad for a full season. I just stopped.
No, just that one character. Some clips about that character, so you can see.
He's his boss, right?
Yeah.
Because I watched the first season, but then I'm like, I hate Fox animation domination. I don't even like The Simpsons anymore.
I don't know if he had used drugs in the first episode.
Oh, I don't think he did. He was more straight laced.
Season. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Like he's crazy. Anyways, so I liked it more. There's still a lot of fucking issues here.
I just still loved it like I did originally. It's in my top 5 superhero movies. Like this, Spider-Man 2, Winter Soldier, Batman Begins, and probably Dark Knight. But I do like Batman Begins more than Dark Knight. It's more comic booky.
But
I
couldn't.
It's a conversation for a DC
5,
podcast. It doesn't exist.
Nope.
I kind of want us. I thought about this the other day. I was like, I kind of want us to be like Fat Man on Batman, Kevin Smith show, where now it's just a news show where they talk about anything, like where we could talk about DC when there is no Marvel. But then again, we wouldn't be able to always cover DC because they overlap. So we're keeping it
and
Marvel
I don't
over
like
here.
enough fucking DC.
Unless
shit.
DC's a different multiverse, like the one time they crossed over in the comics.
Shut up, Nick. Get those assholes who are like, we need a Justice League versus the Avengers movie. No, we don't. We're unfortunately probably going to get the god-awful idea that was AVX, but I hope not.
I was so excited for that comic. I got every issue, every spin-off, and it was one of the worst comic book runs I've ever read, whereas Secret Empire was one of the best ones I ever read.
It was like one of the worst after, like, Secret Invasion. It was awful.
Fuck. Anyway, Logan, the film, not... Well, I will start with this since we were talking about comics. I find it fascinating that comics of the X-Men, which are fictional stories, you know, kind of inspired by heroes, just like in the MCU, you have like toys of Tony Stark and stuff, that they're a comic
Captain
was
America
written about them.
Trading cards and stuff.
Yeah, like they did write a comic based on the real life heroes, but like anything else, they made up all the stories. They could run for decades or whatever. I found that I love that part where she's reading the comic, and the part where he figures out that Eden is at the same longitude and latitude as a fucking thing, just straight from the comic book, not even a real place.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's a nice touch in there, but it was also kind of like a slight at what had come before. You know, it's their own way of saying, hey, don't believe the movies that you saw before this, because it could have been told wrong.
I never got that impression.
That's kind of
because the movies are us watching the real ones, and the comics are what some person went off and was like here's my Statue of Liberty story, and I'm expanding on it.
There's so much in this movie that even though they set it ahead in time, it's not enough that the previous movies don't have an effect on what the timeline feels like. And like I said, you all of a sudden just dump the mutant race. You do House of M as it happened. They don't mention it as House of M, but something's that obviously happened to stop mutants from being born. They try to pass it off on that geneticist guy. Like I said,
and the corn syrup, I thought, even was part of it.
That's what I'm saying. They pass it off on that, but it's this hack job of these past stories. That's what it's burdened by everything that comes before it, including the comics.
I think they've said about this movie that it's not even necessarily in this continuity.
Yeah.
Like it is just like this is a what if happened to Logan and Charles and
exactly. That scene felt like part of that to me, was kind of like an in-universe or in-movie way of saying, hey, ignore everything you think you know and just watch this movie.
Yeah, it's a one-off.
Basic knowledge of who Charles should be, who Logan should be. I
mean, even has a different Caliban wasn't Caliban in the original? Was he with the younger team? He was in one of the other movies.
He was in Apocalypse. If I'm not mistaken.
Which I think wasn't Wolverine in that too? Like he can get sent. Like Feral Wolverine is in one of them. In Days of Future Past, they send it back in Apocalypse. They get arrested and run into Feral Wolverine and let him free. And it's like, fuck you guys, don't just Hugh Jackman everything.
They just wanted that classic Weapon X
helmet
stuff shot.
It's cool to see, but I'm glad we didn't get any kind of reference to the origin. I mean, this is far in the future, but they've done the origin way too many times, and I hope it's kind of like Uncle Ben or Batman at this point. They shouldn't. I don't want to see his origin in the MCU whenever they bring in a Wolverine. Yeah. Like we get it. We know he has metal. Yeah. But
it's all good.
What else? Okay, I actually like the Reavers as bad guys. I mean, they're from the comics. They've always hunted mutants because they also see themselves as superior to the human race, but they've done those adjustments themselves. And it actually kind of reminds me of recent Book of Boba Fett with the droid enhancements.
But where was the development? Where was anything? If you don't have any of that comic book knowledge other than, see, I've enhanced myself or whatever it is he said, or I'm special myself or whatever. If you don't have all that additional context, that they're cardboard.
It worked for me before I looked into the Reavers. I didn't know who they were until after the movie.
I found them as generic as Yellow Jacket and a army of drones.
I'm gonna say
movie.
But I love Boyd Holbrook, who's the main guy.
He's fine as an actor. He just doesn't have anything really to work with.
Hopefully he'll have more to work with in his next, because James Mangold, same director, is doing Indy, and he brought Boyd Holbrook with him. It's not like, I think that's the only character he's worked with before, the actor that he brought with him.
Yeah.
So hopefully he has some better stuff there. Because he doesn't get to do a lot. He's great at acting what he's given, but he doesn't really. He just shows up once in a while and like tosses him his card, or like he's there for the girl, gets knocked out at the beginning of the scene anyway,
Yeah.
But gets destroyed at the end, like all the Reavers, and the super violent scene that involves the kids even using their violent mutations.
I like that. I wrote it in my notes that the anyways, we'll get to the likes later.
So I don't really have a lot of dislikes of this movie. Do you want to go through your dislikes and then we can talk about likes?
I guess. So like, let's take a word from our sponsors real quick, and then we'll do that. All right, take it away, Grow Generation.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. For all of your cultivation needs, Grow Generation has the right products, service, and staff to make your grow successful. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for sponsoring the episode. And then Nick, some things that I didn't dislike. Let me mark the chapters.
Well, I thought we were talking about your dislikes first.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
Sorry, my
things you did dislike, which sounds like most of it.
My brain power's not that great right now, and multitasking is not good. So hold on. Anyways, things that I didn't like the R rating legitimately comes from CGI claws going through body parts,
like through the head,
the heads,
losing heads.
That's the.
There's not really any blood.
One.
Except at the end, there's lots of blood on his clothes at the end when he's fighting X-24.
Right. We all love a good brutal Wolverine. They deliver that in the fights. This all truistic true believer Wolverine didn't exist in these movies. He almost does everything out of selfishness. Sure, he does have people he cares about, but if you're not one of those, fuck off. There's no altruistic I'll help everyone type thing. He's, so it was just kind of weird there. But the violence we love, but that much violence never really happened in any of the mediums we had, because they're meant to be for all ages. So it just felt gratuitous, the 10th head to get damaged brutally. You know what I'm saying? Like the first 8, sure, I'm down with it, but it was at a point it was like, we got to make it an R rating, guys. More stabbings. It just became overused.
I do like Laura's stuff more than Wolverine's stuff.
I do. I got a good note on the likes about her. Too much establishing and transition scenes, and the way they shot them. Like I said, when you think of westerns and people riding, there's a lot of stuff like on the where you're at, and here it's more of, like I said, they're shot at highway speeds, and you're looking more at the people, and it reminds me of my own time on some of those roads out in the West and even in the desert Southwest. That God, I fucking hated that shit. I hated being in that car for that long, and without the era of turn of the century or even 1800s, West. It doesn't.
I love it.
Hit me the same.
New Mexico, certain parts of Colorado, Utah, Arizona, California. I love rock formations more than I love fine.
I love Arizona.
Beautiful mountains and stuff.
My paintings in my other room. I love the desert.
I love the red rocks, or like the arches in Utah, or.
But that didn't make it a Western.
No, but I'm just saying you sounded like you were bored driving through that. That's my favorite. I hate driving. Like I would love to fly in via helicopter, or drug myself so I don't have to be awake in the vehicle.
wake up and enjoy the sights, and then go to sleep again until I'm back.
Like my
Or
friends,
in an aircraft.
when I drive them to Vegas, they
But I
always
can't-
pass out, and it's me driving.
I can't sleep in vehicles. Not even I never.
Not even on the way back from Vegas when you're hungover as shit, and I'm driving hungover as shit to LA, not to Colorado. That was only a 3-hour drive, 4 hours with traffic.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm good. I hate being in vehicles for long times these days, more than ever. So yeah, I'm good. But the other thing is the exposition was rough. The times were like the video that what's her name,
perfectly edited, even though it's just a bunch of random shots.
Exactly.
I do that all the time, but yeah.
Caliban and
you don't like Caliban?
No, he's fine. I'm saying the exposition is delivered in these very, very weighty ways, and he's one of the ways they.
I just want to bring up while you're talking about it.
Sure.
It's a very interesting casting choice to get Stephen Merchant. He looks the part, but I mean, he's known from Ricky Gervais comedies and stuff. So when I saw him in a role like this, I'm like, oh, I've never seen him do drama.
Yeah.
He even one of his smallest roles is even in Hot Fuzz, which is 100% a comedy. He's the guy who loses the swans.
Yep. I love that movie too. Oh God,
one of my favorites ever.
Genius. And then I mentioned about the villains were, just bland, cardboard to me, generic. And don't get me wrong, guys. A lot of Marvel movies have that. That's fine.
Even in the MCU. I mean, but before you move on from that, I want to mention Richard E. Grant plays Dr. Rice, the guy behind everything.
Yep.
He's from one of my favorite movies because Paul Rudd said it was his favorite comedy, so I checked it out. Whitnail and I, which now, if you want to buy it,
I've seen that.
If you want to buy it in the United States, it costs $100 because they haven't printed it in a few years. So I've been trying to get my hands on it, but I'm like, just reprint it. Like I asked for Captain America Truth for my birthday, the comic, because when I was trying to buy it last year when the Winter Soldier was airing, it was over $200 because they haven't printed it. But now Marvel should have printed it right before that. Anyway, he's also, do you realize what other MCU role Dr. Rice, aka Richard E. Grant, played?
He was in something relatively recent.
In one of the TV shows. I'll even tell you, he's in Loki.
Oh yeah, he was.
He's classic
the
Loki,
original or classic Loki.
Yeah, or old school Loki.
Yeah.
I saw him. I'm like, I forgot he's in Logan because he's in fucking Loki.
I was trying to remember, and I had some black and white character from WandaVision in my brain, and then old Loki, and I couldn't separate the two for some reason.
You're good. I found that fascinating. He's been in two different Marvel universes in a way.
So what didn't you like, or did anything kind of stick out this time that you were like, that could have been better or different?
It could have been, as much as I've been saying it's an adult movie because it's slow, it could have been cut a little tighter. It could have been a little shorter. And I wish it was bloodier to really get that R rating.
With more than just headshots.
That's
the thing. Like
putting the claws through someone's neck or head, like in the Vegas scene. There needs to be blood to accompany it, otherwise it is PG-13. I mean, at the end, the two parts that are the most brutal to me, and these are compliments, not insults, are when X-24 shows up at the farmstead, and Patrick Stewart, Xavier, thinks it's his Logan, and he just gets him right in the chest. And the final fight is super brutal against X-24. And I'm getting my good stuff, but I love the end when he's full berserker mode because of the medication. He's just running and jumping and impaling people on trees. And
you ever seen him do the ADR for that?
Yes, that's one of the funniest videos where he's he's actually pretending to run so that he's making the noises.
Most people in ADR do that, and a lot of voice actors, when they've got roles that they won't try to fake exhaustion, they'll actually do jumping jacks and shit to get exhausted.
That's super cool. I love that video. I was gonna bring it up if you didn't. It's if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's him doing the ADR for that scene, and it's Hugh Jackman, like just like running in place, making all the like when he claws someone and
stuff.
Yeah.
It's really hard to catch all those noises on location.
You
outdoors,
can't.
running.
Especially with shots that far away.
Exactly.
You can't like have a boom mic running next to Wolverine, being like, ah! Plus, most sound effects we hear in movies are fake. If people don't know that, footsteps, that's ADR.
Phones ringing, like so much stuff is ADR. Additional.
Even some dialogue that they try to avoid that is ADR.
Yeah, a lot of like shots from behind someone when they're chit chatting isn't always the clever, film it from one side, film it from another, cut it together, which does happen.
And you'll notice
sometimes
that
they just go in and
now that we brought it up, and a lot of TV shows and movies, the jawline when looking from behind does not match what they're saying because it's ADR.
Yeah,
Can't unsee that shit. So I mean, I don't have much other complaints. It's like I said, it's a top 5 superhero movie for me.
Okay,
Marvel or DC.
You want to hear the few things that I did like then?
Yeah, you got a few?
let me write down likes. So the movie the movie ended. No, I'm joking. I mentioned the Xavier when he's kind of going cuckoo. It's reminiscent of his character from American Dad. I dig that. I like Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart.
Good.
Fuck you, British.
I'm excited
people.
for Picard season 2.
Knighthood shit. No, I love him as a guy who is capable of self-deprecation, capable of humor, while also capable of delivering really good performances. And his performance here is great.
Excellent.
He's got some of the best stuff, even though I don't necessarily think it was as hard-hitting of a story because it's such a big jump and all the other stuff doesn't necessarily exist in this
They do
movie.
reference it. It's just this is an alternate ending. Like he's like,
Exactly.
We need to go to the Statue of Liberty, Logan. And he's like, that was a long time ago, Charles.
So it doesn't necessarily feel as, it doesn't feel as weighty, but as I wish it would have. But he's awesome in this.
And he's the one who killed the X-Men.
Yeah, and then Laura X-23, the actress does an amazing job. Facial acting, facial expressions are something I'm always very keen on. One of my favorite things in all the movies is to see someone that can portray physical reactions realistically, and while you can look surprised, to be able to get the surprise breathing is different.
Especially out of a child actor.
Right, and she does a really good job. And then whenever she needs to be animalistic, that I don't know what she's already been through at that age, but she was able to tap into something. She did a really great job. Hopefully she's just that great of an actress and didn't have to tap into any experiences for that type of anger. But it reminded me of Punisher, the series, when he sets up his ambush in him and Microchip's
Russo!
That's good too, but that ambush scene in Microchip Micros, whatever, I can't remember
that exact scene,
but
honestly.
Dude, it's the one where he's like got the weapons all up in the balcony,
in like a factory, but he still loses. He still gets his ass kicked.
No, well, he ends up getting his ass
he gets captured
there.
Okay. Yeah.
But dude, he fucking does brutal shit there, and there's just I've seen rage. I've seen raw rage, and it's not easy to fake.
Honestly, if
him
they
and her
weren't
did
making,
it both. She did it really good.
If they
she
weren't
had rage,
doing complicated shit already, and like bringing back Daredevil and stuff, I would cast John Bernthal as the new Wolverine.
We'll see. And then bravo to her, and then the fights while the X-24 clone is just the the most cardboard 2D of all.
He's brutal though. And cool.
The villains used by the movie. The fights are great, and young clone Logan versus old Logan is cool.
And they didn't spoil it at all. Like, I was surprised when I saw it. I was like, what?
Yeah, so I like all of that. And if you, like you said, if you could cut this movie, I tell you what, I think it's about an hour and 45 minutes, unless you're willing to take those 30 minutes I want to cut and put more character development to make us care a little bit more about Caliban, to care more about this Charles, and to even feel more of why Logan is so much more caring now than before.
Well, he's not at first at all.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
the money,
life is,
and then he learns to Laura's his daughter, and
right.
Like,
but it's like
Charles is pressuring him.
Life has been harder on him than when we last saw him. You would think it would take more to get him to be, like I said, more good. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't be. I'm not saying that this shouldn't have happened. I just needed something more of, dude, if life was that bad, I don't think you would have. I don't even, man, maybe take the money and run. Like, you're at that point in your life right now, the way they make it seem.
Take the money, buy the boat, go out with Charles, leave Caliban.
So
be safe.
I couldn't necessarily see him doing that. And so, like I said, either cut it down, and I'll buy it as is, cut down, and I think it would be a much better film, or fill that time with better world, and not just world, but character building too. So, yeah. I
love the time they spend with the family. Even though when Patrick Stewart's like, he'll stay overnight, you're like, oh, this family's fucked. Like, you can't just stop when you're being chased.
I would keep that scene.
I love it.
I'm fine with that.
And I love when they go over to do the water thing, and they fix it, and they get approached, and then later they approach the X-24 like he's Logan, and he just tears them apart.
I'll hire you, $5,000 a week or some shit like that.
He's just like,
oh yeah. Job. Wolvie like job.
X-24 want work. He can't even talk. No, that's why I love the idea that he's the improvement. And they hint at early that they're working on a different project. Because all the kids are X-23, technically.
No,
X-23 project, I think.
I thought they were numbered, like she was the 23rd
maybe
clone or something.
Isn't Wolverine number 10, which is why he's Weapon X?
No.
Okay, I thought I saw that somewhere.
Weapon X, I thought. I don't know.
It's the Weapon X program.
Marvel decided to retcon Peter Parker from becoming Spider-Man long time ago, because of having fucked up and let a bad thing happen, to making him a superhero because he's a fan of superheroes. So they may have changed it, Nick. I don't know.
Is that official canon, or is that some offshoot, like a what if?
It's essentially canon in comics coming up, the way I understand, and it's MCU canon. It's MCU canon.
Yeah,
now.
but MCU canon's different. You have to evolve everything.
They completely no, because they already said it in fucking Civil War, only to retcon it in.
Well, he basically says the Uncle Ben thing in Civil War. He's like,
exactly.
I was told that if I wasn't, obviously he's a fan of Iron Man stuff. He's like, I was told that if you can do something, you should do something.
He says, when you can do the things I can, and you don't, and then the bad things happen, that's him going through. I could have stopped Uncle Ben, because he gets down. He physically gets down, and then you literally have a moment in No Way Home that is meant to fully reinvoke him doing the wrong thing and becoming quote unquote Spider-Man. So it's the same. He becomes Spider-Man out of being a fanboy. Only in the MCU, he's able to make all these good rational decisions based on his responsibility and his power. That he was able to do all of that before we just eat it anyways.
I will say
it's a retcon.
I watched. There's a great 30-minute interview with all three of the Spider-Men, and all the Spider-Men agreed that this is the actual origin of getting Peter Parker where he needs to go, which is what I always thought. And they released the script this week. And in the script, it says that Mary Jane has lingering thoughts about Peter Parker, even though she doesn't completely recognize him. And even the end of the script kind of says that. It's like he is now Spider-Man. Like
they kind of give that in the movie when she's still wearing the necklace.
But like when you read the script or something, though, like it's more finite. Like in the script for The Dark Knight, people are like, maybe they'll bring back Two-Face, but the script says Two-Face is dead.
Oh, and it's fine in there that they feel that's when Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man. But like I said, you made other movies with him basing his character on that origin, not just the comic book version of it, but his movie origin in Civil War is similar to the Uncle Ben version of everything. They give us that. That's my issue. I think it's a lame. He's a fan. Okay, then you got to have him become Spider-Man in the first movie.
I mean, he is Spider-Man. I'm just saying he's like adult Spider-Man by the end.
But that's not how they played it out. They played it out as that's him becoming Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, and that's one of the things I think we disagree about, but that works for me is that like the Uncle Ben, it almost sounds like it wasn't related to his actions. And he didn't go on a vengeance spree, whereas with Aunt May, he was ready to kill anyone. And the other guy's like, whoa. Like, I stopped throwing my punches. And, like, I feel guilty for killing all these people.
It still does not inform everything in a good way, the way they've presented it, unless you literally just strip it down to he was a hero because he was a fan. And that is just lame.
Well, he was already a hero, but like then Tony Stark showed up and he's like, "Oh my God, you're fucking Tony Stark!" Like, anyway, back to Logan. I have a few more things to say about Logan. I love the Vegas scene where he has to claw his way there, literally in the wall, and then he murders all the Reavers before he injects Charles, and even X-23, I think, is the one that either gives him the medication or injects him.
She gives him the med. She also kills one of the people too. One or two.
I love. Okay, the foot thing at first seems weird, but they give a bullshit explanation that works. Where it's like, did you know, like female lions or whatever, like, the idea that because she has two claws and she has a foot claw. Which when that comes out, if you don't know the comic, you're like, what the fuck? This is awesome, but like, where did that come from? Because that in the comics, she has the two claws and the foot claw. Yeah,
she does. I didn't know.
I'm pretty sure she does. I've read a bit of X-23 in her own book where she's more like 20 years old.
Whatever they're selling me as far as that was concerned, because like I said, I don't read a lot of modern cape books, and I know she's been around now for a while, but she's more new than a lot of things.
I think her book's even called Wolverine. No, her book's called X-23.
Yeah, she did do an arc in the of X-Force I read in like 08, 09.
X-Force.
Yeah. Anyways.
I do like X-24 and how just fucking dark and completely evil he is and brutal as fuck, whether it's the ending of the movie or him killing Charles or him killing the other farmers.
Well, he's like a mindless drone that
he is, and that's why he's the improvement. It's because they can control him.
Well, I'm saying he's not evil. He's nothing. He's just a tool.
Yeah, but I like that how brutal he can get because of that. Like in the end, like you're like, oh, we dropped a car on him, and it's like he gets out. Obviously, he kills Logan. He dies too. The adamantium bullet that Logan meant for suicide goes straight through his brain.
She almost missed that shot.
Yeah, she does.
But
I mean, but she's not a marksman. She's probably never used a gun in her life.
I know.
She's a weapon.
Just think, what would have happened had she missed that shot?
I guess maybe her adamantium. She had to heat up her adamantium like the Silver Samurai and cut off his.
Yeah. Drinking.
That was a bad time to stop for a drink. Because I also wanted to say, okay, one of the things I thought that was funny and kind of related is when she finally talks. It reminds me of Rush Hour, where he's like,
because the Spanish,
you couldn't talk, like you didn't speak English. And he's like, you're an idiot. You assume I cannot talk.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like it's a very fitting ending for Wolverine. Like No Time to Die, where it's like this is the end of his time for sure, unless there's. I haven't heard all the rumors you have, but I know there are probably some X-Men showing up in a Multiverse of Madness. But for God's sake, do not put.
Nick, fans are getting everything that they want.
This isn't Spider-Man. I think.
Fans, but
you know what happened last time Sam Raimi was told to put in certain characters? It was his worst Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, but
I'm scared. I was scared about Spider-Verse. I mean, No Way Home, but I'm even more scared about Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. All I'm just don't be surprised.
No, I haven't heard specific rumors about characters, but I know the type of characters that might show up. And the only one I want to show up was a rumor, but they've already finished. Well, there's a quote this week from Raimi. He's like, I think we're done with the film. Well, we need to test screen it, and then Marvel will tell me if we're done with the film or not. Because I actually like the rumor that we could get Ben Affleck back as Daredevil, but that's a rumor. There's no way that's true. There's no way that's true. But I also like making fun of you. I'm like, we made this happen by bringing Daredevil back up.
Bad, Nick.
Great movie for me.
Doesn't want to do these things anymore. Hopefully he meant it.
Who meant what?
Affleck said he didn't want to do those types of movies anymore.
I mean, if it's a 3-minute scene, he'd do it, but he's not going. There's no
be consistent,
yeah.
Affleck. Anyways, anything else?
He needs to go back to directing. Most of his 3 of the movies he directed are great. The 4th was terrible, but
yeah. Affleck.
Anyway, anything else to say about this wonderful film that I like way more than you like?
Like I said, despite me bitching about it all this time, I liked it better than the first time.
That's good. Like Spider-Man 2.
I don't care to ever watch it again. And like I said, a lot
like
of
Spider-Man 2. You'd never watch that again either, probably.
Probably not. But in that case, it's just because it doesn't hold up. Not that it's bad. In my mind, this is not a good film. It's not bad anymore. It's just not good. At best, it's meh.
If we weren't running long, I would tell you about Project Spark, which I heard about on the news, which is creating a fusion reactor that has 5 times the power of the sun in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, but it's fine. I get why people liked it, and like I said, you have to understand that I don't like it because I didn't like the X-Men films after the second one, and I don't mean
I didn't like the first one.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't mean like because the third one was garbage. I mean because the first 2 were meh.
If anything, X2. Oh, a phone call. If anything, X2 is one of the only good one.
It's
not even great, but like he does the whole like jump that also Seth Rogen does in Pineapple Express.
Yeah. So it's like it's got this weight of a lot of just crap that I didn't care for. And if you guys haven't noticed on any of the reviews, I don't get nostalgic for shit that I didn't like. Like I get nostalgic for trash, like Little Monsters, garbage movie. Fucking loved it. I'm nostalgic as shit for it, even though I know it's not a great movie, objectively. But things that I did not like before, I don't get that. I don't get nostalgia for shit I didn't like before.
I never liked the X-Men films. My favorite 4 Well, my favorite one, if you count it only as an X-Men movie and not a team movie, I mean, not a solo movie, is First Class. That one's pretty cool with Fassbender and putting a coin through Kevin Bacon's head and
I think first
James Bond.
I think if you take Quicksilver's scene out of Days of Future Past,
that's a better movie too.
I think First Class is better than Days of Future Past. I think people.
I still think First Days of Future Past is better. I really hate First Class. I hate the plot of Days of Future Past.
That's what I was gonna say. I think too many people get focused on Quicksilver's scene and that Logan again, Wolverine is a big part of it. And I don't care that he's a big part of it. I hate the fact Jennifer Lawrence wanted to wear less and less fucking blue makeup, even though she's supposed to play one of the most out and proud mutants there is.
According to First Class, he's like, just be cool, be yourself. And then, each movie she wears less and less. I've never even seen Dark Phoenix. I think she dies at the beginning, so she doesn't have to wear makeup. But I haven't even seen that garbage movie. So, Are we good on Logan?
Yeah, man, we're good.
We went longer than I thought we would. That's because we got off topic on nice little rabbit holes.
A couple times. I have no idea how I'm going to timestamp this shit for you guys, and all those conversations. Like I said, come back in the comments. Tell us what you guys do think. Is there some hypocrisy in Hollywood and what they're willing to change? Does X-Men utilize its history of approaching diversity? Is it being utilized well these days or not? Anyone that thinks X-Men isn't supposed to be a very, very diverse and colorful, both in personalities as well as skin tones, everything from super white, and I mean white to green. So I love the X-Men.
Green, Toad.
The X-Men. While the X-Men does this thing really, really unique, it takes the human experience, because all of us feel like outsiders at one point or another. It takes that and does enough of that anyone can read an X-Men comic and go, yeah, man, I kind of get it. You're an outsider. You're different. And then you take the fact that X-Men is a direct, allegory or metaphor, whatever, for racial tensions, and you now have not just the big broad human experience, but now you've got a individual, or maybe you want to say a cultural experience. And then when you get down to specific ethnicities that also went through the Holocaust or civil rights, civil war, even, because some mutants been around for a long time.
Wolverine and Sabretooth.
Right, you look at characters that deal with LGBT stuff in addition to mutants stuff, and now you are on an individual experience without sacrificing any of the larger audience, because there's still enough of just that human element of wanting compassion, needing and having empathy, feeling as an outsider to some groups, if not many groups. There's so much great history in the X-Men. It's really a shame on just how much was wasted in shitty fucking movies, and I don't even mean like just wasted messaging opportunities, because you don't have to pat yourself on the back. Ava,
I know you're talking about Selma director.
Yeah, she was gonna do.
She
like
follows
new
me. And you can only
stuff,
comment on her shit if you follow.
Right.
If she follows you.
She came out talking about I think it was the Naomi project and a lot of diversity and representation on that. And she's like, it's just there. That's the world we live in. I don't need to come out and ring any bells about it. Mm-hmm. That's called normalization, ladies and gentlemen. When you don't need to ring any bells about it. Yeah. That makes it normal.
I know very little about the character, but the character looks just like the cover of the one issue I've seen online, and I don't watch it because it's a CW show. I only watch Legends of Tomorrow.
It's not for me, but I like that the director, producer, and creator had said that had said that, because that's true. When we hear about normalization is when it's just there. And like I pointed out about Joss Whedon and his history of promoting strong female characters and all that. Well, he was an asshole back then.
I know, that was one of the people on Angel complained.
You know, but like I was getting at is like that there's more good than what people realize, and things were normal for a while. It's just for some reason sometimes bells do need to be rung, but for some reason today it's all about just getting some kudo points. And I like that there's people that are like, no, gay people exist, trans people exist, Muslims exist, so they're part of the world. We don't need to ring bells about how many of each we have in a movie or show. That's the world. Accept the world. I like that. That's when it's truly normal. And yeah, we'll stop being political. It's X-Men. How can you not be political?
Now I know, like, people are even politicians are even looking at X-Men 97 and saying it's gonna be too political. It's like, have you read a single X-Men? I mean, the same way they complain about Captain America for not being American enough, and it's like, have you read a Captain America comic? He stands for what's right, not necessarily what government is in power. He's the American dream, not
the American
beholden to who's in power. He's not working for Obama. Idea. He's not working for Bush. He's not working for Trump. He's not working for Biden. He's upholding American value. He's not signing the Sokovia Accords. Sorry, that was my Captain America rant. But
yeah, no, you're right. He's there for the American idea, and some people kind of lose that. And I used to talk a lot about that during my time in the Army with
absolutely,
especially with recruiting, because some people were just like, they'd say, well, what about all the bad stuff America's done? I'm like, yeah, dude, America's done some fucked up shit, but I here's the dirty secret that no one wants you to know. 10,000 years of human history is full of nothing but garbage for the most part.
I grew up Catholic. They did a lot of terrible things
with little intermittent pieces of gold, good stuff. And it's those little pieces of good stuff that really, really make a difference and moved humanity forward. And sometimes that good stuff came from not so good people,
not good intentions
context.
even.
And some with not even with good intentions. You're right, but you can't deny the good things that come about. And one of those, these stories and these progresses made by people, even Joss Whedon, we have to give credit where credit is due, including the actors, actresses, writers, and even the studio execs that supported this. You think about the publishers. I know Stan is like the head of Marvel there in the 60s and 70s and can publish whatever the fuck he wants.
Jack Kirby,
but the fact is,
more credit.
He still fucking published shit. And I'm not talking about creation. I'm saying putting books out.
Yeah, no, it's amazing the Stan Lee way, how many books he put out, because it was about, I'll draw it and here's the overall story. You write your own dialogue. No, you draw it. I'll write in the dialogue to the screens, the bubbles that fit.
So yeah, it's going to be political, but like I said, you can say things without patting yourself on the back. Make it truly normal. Show us the world, because this is one of those times, Nick. You know, I'm always talking about escapism and when and where it's necessary. This here is the perfect, always has been, vehicle for social and political commentary, specifically contemporary commentary. So yeah, guys, it could still suck because it could tell the stories in a bad way, you know, bad writing or whatever. But just because it's political, it's supposed to be. It's fucking X-Men.
Damn straight.
We ready to housekeep?
Yeah, I think that was an amazing episode, I will say. Great conversations with you that were even slightly off topic. And I think we covered the movie well, and I had a lot of fun discussing these other ideas with you that bleed into other Marvel movies and even DC movies. So do you want to bring us out as far as where to find us all?
Guys, check out the website, lrmonline.com. Also genreverse.com every day for all your entertainment news needs and opinions, all of our interviews, reporting articles, opinion pieces, the podcasts, all available right here on the website. The podcast network, wherever you get your podcasts from, great shows like Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, Daily Cog, the Cantina just doing Star Wars stuff,
lots of Boba Fett these days.
Boba Fett. MMMayhem Reviews doing Sabikui Bisto.
Disgusting stuff.
Great fucking crazy awesome mushroom show. It's nuts. And then all of that, of course, is available here on the Genreverse Podcast Network's YouTube channel. Give us a look, a listen. Why is that thing playing again? And guys, thanks.
Yeah,
that's it.
You can tell it's below us, but yeah, and please leave a rating. Ratings actually really help us as far as getting eventually onto Rotten Tomatoes. Mostly the Apple channel is most important to Rotten Tomatoes, but now you can review us on Spotify. So please do. No, just listen to us. If you like us, give us a thumbs up. Even on YouTube, we appreciate it, and we want to be able to afford to bring you more content just like this amazing episode. So with that, Excelsior.
Enough said.